Good morning, Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA with me, Jyotsna Kumar.
And I'm Hem Korsara, and on the show today, Israel has claimed that it bombed Houthi targets in Yemen, mounted further airstrikes in Lebanese capital, killing 4. It is expanding its confrontation with Iran's allies in the region, 2 days after killing the Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah, whose body, according to sources, has been recovered from the site of an Israeli air attack. We'll get you all the details of this on the show today.
Also on the show, Nepal has shut schools for 3 days after landslides and floods triggered by 2 days of heavy rain across the Himalayan nation killed 150 people, with about 56 missing. We will bring you WION's ground report on the story, but first the headlines.
At least 4 people killed as Israeli airstrikes hit central Beirut for the first time since the 7th of October Hamas attack on Israel. Reports claim IDF says it carried out fresh strikes on dozens of Hezbollah targets.
U.S. President Joe Biden warns all-out war has to be avoided in West Asia, says we'll soon talk to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the first phone call since assassination of Hezbollah leader Nasrallah.
Taiwan heightens alert after detecting multiple waves of missile firings in inland China, days after Beijing test launched an intercontinental ballistic missile.
Austria's far-right poised for historic win in general elections. Projections show Freedom Party at more than 29% of votes against over 26% for the ruling Conservative People's Party.
At least 170 people dead, more than 1.8 million people affected in Nepal after days of unrelenting rain triggers heavy flooding and major landslides across the country.
Pakistan cuts nearly 1.5 lakh government jobs, closes 6 ministries and merges 2 others to secure a $7 billion loan deal from the International Monetary Fund.
Tata Pogacar claims his first world road race title. He became only the 3rd man to win cycling's triple crown of the men's Tour de France, Giro d'Italia and world title in the same year. Two days after the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, his body has been recovered from the site of an Israeli airstrike on Beirut's southern suburbs.
Now, on Saturday, Hezbollah confirmed Nasrallah's death, but did not say how exactly he was killed or when his funeral would be held. Reports quoted 2 sources who said that Nasrallah's body had no direct wounds and that it appeared the cause of death was blunt trauma from the force of the blast.
Nasrallah's death has further inflamed tensions in West Asia and intensified the war at its borders with Lebanon.
An airstrike hit central Beirut early on Monday. For the first time in nearly a year of conflict, the strike near the Kola intersection, a major transportation hub, hit a multi-story residential building. And according to Lebanese Health Ministry, 4 people were killed in the incident. It said more than 100 people were killed and 350 others were wounded in the last 24 hours, as Israel claimed to have struck dozens of Hezbollah terror targets in Lebanon, including missile launchers aimed at Israel, weapons storage facilities, and other Hezbollah infrastructure.
Also, Israel struck Houthi targets in Yemen. Dozens of aircraft, including fighter jets, attacked power plants and seaport facilities at the Ras Isa and Hodeidah port.
The facilities at the Ras Isa and Hodeidah ports, of course, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, in a clear message to Iran and its allies, have said that for the country, no place is too far.
Meanwhile, White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said all-out war with Hezbollah or Iran would not help residents of northern Israel return to their homes. Kirby underscored that diplomacy is the right path.
Now, this as U.S. President Joe Biden said he would speak with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, anything to say to him?
Yes, I will be talking to him, and I'll tell you what I say to him when I talk to him.
French Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot is in Lebanon. Barrot is the first high-level foreign diplomat to visit the country since Israeli airstrikes intensified a week ago. 2 French nationals have been killed in the strikes. Protests were witnessed in Paris as well as Sweden, Finland, Turkey, among other countries. Protesters demanded an end to Israeli offensive in Lebanon as well as Gaza.
Meanwhile, as Israel chalks the way forward, opposition lawmaker Gideon Sa'ar is said to be joining Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government, this to strengthen the premier politically. Local media said Sa'ar would serve as a minister without a portfolio and would take a seat at the Prime Minister's security cabinet.
Now, for more on this, we're being joined live by Paul Sam from Washington, D.C. He is a West Asia analyst and professor of Israel Studies at the University of Maryland. Thank you so much for joining us on World DNA this morning, sir.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thank you, sir. Now, sir, Israel has upped its strikes on Hezbollah and Houthi targets as well. We've seen that in the past few weeks, Israel has managed to deal severe blows to the Hezbollah top leadership as well, the most recent being the killing of Hassan Nasrallah. What do you make of these strikes?
I think Israel is trying to renew its deterrence, which was badly damaged by the attacks it suffered October 7th of last year. It has been surprisingly, at least for the world, successful in hitting Hezbollah and in damaging it severely. Its goal is certainly to remove the danger or the possibility of Hezbollah attacking it in the foreseeable future. So it will probably keep going until it gets some international guarantee.
Right. So the war started with Hamas against Israel. Now it has widened. Hezbollah has got involved. And we, of course, have Houthis have been involved as well. What do you think is the end goal here?
I think the end goal is primarily with the Houthis and with Hezbollah to get a guarantee that it not just a ceasefire, because Israel has felt it's been exposed to the possibility or reality of strikes from Iran's proxies, including Houthis and Hezbollah, as well as Syrian and Iraqi militias. So this can be accomplished perhaps by Israel obtaining an international force in Lebanon, or it can try to go in on the ground. It's done that twice in 1982 and 2006. It didn't work out well. It could also try to keep a security zone. That also did not work out well. But so there are really no good options except to try to destroy as many Hezbollah missiles and soldiers as it can.
Right, sir. Now, you spoke about the ceasefire as well. My question to you is the focus seems to have, in the past few weeks at least, shifted from Gaza. That being said, do you think peace can still be negotiated?
In Gaza, I think most Israelis would like a ceasefire in Gaza that would return the hostages. The problem is that Prime Minister Netanyahu is under the effective control of two far-right ministers, Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir, and they insist that the war go on. Whether the success in Lebanon will help remains to be seen, or whether Prime Minister Netanyahu can arrange a political deal with the far right, which doesn't seem likely. So the war in Gaza may go on for weeks or even months, though at a slower pace.
Absolutely. Now, as you said, Israelis whose families are hostages would want a ceasefire, as well as Gazans who are still there want a ceasefire. Of course, we'll see how that all develops. But thank you so much for coming on the show and giving your insights.
Thank you.
All right, moving on now. Let's take a look at what has happened in Israel. It successfully, in month terms of campaigns against Hezbollah, its various asymmetric attacks on the militant group have resulted in not only crippling its top echelons, but also psychological scarring that has been a result of this.
Now, the members, it has unprecedented 8 major bombings we heard of earlier this month of using walkie-talkies. Our next report explores how deep the Mossad rabbit hole truly goes in the ranks of Hezbollah and its allies. Listen into this report.
Israel said on Saturday it killed Hezbollah leader Syed Hassan Nasrallah in a powerful airstrike in Beirut's southern suburbs Friday. Here's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant.
The State of Israel has eliminated Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah. He was the murderer of thousands of Israelis and foreign citizens.
Hezbollah confirmed Nasrallah was killed without saying how. His death dealt a heavy blow to the Iran-backed group as it reels from an escalating campaign of Israeli attacks.
It's difficult to overstate the significance of Hassan Nasrallah's assassination by Israel.
Firas Maqsad, a senior fellow at the Washington-based Middle East Institute think tank, said an attack like this indicates Israel has clearly infiltrated Hezbollah's ranks, and it could lead to the end of the organization.
Hezbollah is going to have to do a great deal of restructuring in the coming weeks and months, and its future, perhaps for the first time since its founding in 1982, is in doubt.
In a statement, U.S. President Joe Biden said Nasrallah's death from an Israeli airstrike is a measure of justice for his many victims, including thousands of Americans, Israelis, and Lebanese civilians. Though he added the U.S. is still trying to use diplomacy to de-escalate attacks in the region. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said Nasrallah's killing would be avenged, and his path in fighting Israel would be continued by other militants. Strikes continued on Beirut's southern suburbs throughout the early evening on Saturday, sending large clouds of smoke over the city. In Israel, air raid sirens sounded across the center of the country on Saturday, including Tel Aviv, and large bangs were heard after a missile was fired from Yemen and intercepted, according to the Israeli military. Hezbollah said in a statement that it would continue its battle against Israel and gave no immediate indication of who might succeed Nasrallah.
All right, staying on the story from West Asia, Israeli Defense Forces say their troops have stepped up operations in Gaza to bring Israeli and foreign hostages home and to dismantle Hamas.
The IDF claimed that the troops discovered and dismantled an underground tunnel route that is approximately 1 kilometer long near residential buildings and civilian spaces in central Gaza, adding that they found several rooms and equipment used by Hamas for prolonged periods. The IDF also released footage of a tunnel in Gaza Strip, which Israel claims was used by Hamas to evade airstrikes. The tunnel was later destroyed by the IDF. The video shows the tunnel's shaft and its interior reinforced with concrete before showing forces.
Now, its explosion, as seen from afar, was also recorded in a video. Now, Reuters said it was not able to independently verify the date or the location of the videos. In 2021, Hamas stated that it had built a network of over 500 kilometers of tunnels throughout Gaza.
Meanwhile, Hamas officials said that the continuing strikes were meant to have killed 4 people and several others injured in Beit Lahia, where an Israeli airstrike targeted a school sheltering displaced Palestinians.
The Israeli military asserts that the school was being used by Hamas for military operations. They also accuse Hamas of exploiting civilian facilities for military purposes, a claim that has been firmly rejected by Hamas. Reports also indicate that 7 more people were killed in separate strikes across Gaza City, Nuseirat, and Khan Yunis. All right, now another story from West Asia. At least 37 militants who were part of the Islamic State and an Al-Qaeda-linked faction have been killed by the U.S. military in Syria.
Now, the militants were killed in 2 airstrikes targeting several senior leaders.
The U.S. Central Command, or the CENTCOM, stated that it struck northwestern and central Syria in September. The first airstrike targeted a senior leader from an Al-Qaeda-linked affiliate, Hurras al-Din, and 8 others in northwestern Syria.
Last week, a second aerial strike, which was a full-blown assault, took out an ISIS training camp in central Syria, killing at least 28 militants, including that of 4 Syrian leaders. According to U.S. CENTCOM, no collateral damage was reported during the airstrikes. It also said that the aerial assaults will impede the ISIS in carrying out operations against the U.S. or its allies. Reports suggest that around 900 U.S. forces are trying to keep the ISIS at bay. The terror group took over several territories of Iraq and Syria a decade ago. And in a significant development moving on, the Kremlin has said that the amendments to Russia's nuclear doctrine have been prepared and are about to be formalized.
Absolutely. Now, this effectively means that the relevant rules setting out the circumstances in which nuclear arms can be used by Moscow will be updated. President Vladimir Putin had warned the West on Wednesday that under the new measures, it will be considered aggression against Russia by any non-nuclear state when it is carried out with the participation or support of a nuclear power as their joint attack on Russia. Now, this is seen to apply to Ukraine, a non-nuclear state that receives military support from the United States and other nuclear-armed countries. The changes are widely seen as an attempt by Putin to draw a red line for the United States and its allies. Putin further said the proposed changes meant that it reserves the right to use nuclear weapons in case of aggression against Russia and Moscow's close ally, Belarus. Putin stated that this included a situation in which another state using conventional weapons creates a critical threat to our sovereignty.
Putin also underlined that Russia's nuclear weapons were the most important guarantee of security of our state and its citizens. Russia's meetings on nuclear deterrence are scheduled twice a year.
Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has warned against trying to fight to victory with a nuclear power. During an address at the UNGA, Lavrov said that the specter of nuclear threats and confrontation has hung over the war in Ukraine since the start.
I will not talk here about the senselessness and danger of the very idea of trying to fight to victory with a nuclear power, which is Russia. No less senseless is the incantation of Kyiv's Western masters about the lack of alternative to negotiations based on the notorious peace formula.
North Korea, that is known to have supplied arms to Russia for the war in Ukraine, has been the latest to jump in on the nuclear talk. Kim Yo-jong, the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, said Washington is escalating the Ukraine conflict and driving all of Europe to the brink of a nuclear war.
North Korea said on Sunday that U.S. military aid to Ukraine is what it called an incredible mistake and playing with fire against nuclear power Russia. The U.S. announced a $375 billion aid package for Ukraine that is double the size of recent shipments. The aid package includes artillery ammunition, air defense, anti-tank missiles, and more of the critical weapons and equipment Washington has provided Kyiv. All right, moving on, Austria's far-right Freedom Party leader has said that history was made after it won the parliamentary election.
Now, the FPO finished ahead of the governing Conservatives after tapping into worries over immigration, inflation, Ukraine and other issues.
The Freedom Party secured approximately 29% vote, comfortably surpassing the ruling OVP, which garnered just over 26%. According to early projections, the center-left Social Democrats were set to get on 20.4% of votes, as per the projection by pollster Foresight for broadcaster ORF.
When I say that we have made history, I mean two things. On one hand, we have made party history, yes. Jörg Haider's famous 26.9%. I think he would forgive us for jumping over that today. On the contrary, he would be proud of us. And the second thing is that we have made Austrian history because this is the first time that the Freedom Party has been number one in the National Council elections. Just think of how far we have come.
Victory for Freedom Party would position Austria as the latest European nation to experience a surge in far-right support, following similar trends in countries such as the Netherlands, France and Germany. And this shows a broader trend of increasing support for hard-right parties across Europe, primarily driven by concerns over immigration levels and economic instability.
Well, in principle, things must now continue in a way that the federal president gives us the mandate to form a government that is democratic. That is what we expect. The voters also expect that, and I believe that he will not be able to get past this issue in the long run.
The FPO would need to form a coalition with one or more parties to secure a parliamentary majority and build a stable government. However, leaders of other Austrian political parties have united to reject the idea of forming a coalition.
Austrian Conservative leader and Chancellor Karl Nehammer stated that the FPO's electoral victory is bitter. His defense minister, Claudia Tanner, referred to the results as a wake-up call for the governing parties as the urgent need for reflection and change within their own ranks. Nehammer firmly stated he will not work under their leadership.
Ich kann euch nicht die Enttäuschung nehmen.
I can't take away your disappointment, but what I want to give you is the confidence that it is right to stand up for your values, to fight, to persuade. What matters now is that we continue to stand by exactly what we promised before the election, and that also applies to after the election.
I would like to thank the many voters who have brought the Freedom Party to the top today. It was a real blue miracle today. Of course, this is also thanks to our program, especially our lead candidate Herbert Kickl, who has really managed to give people back the trust they were looking for. The old coalition has been voted out, black and green have been punished, and now we can look forward to a beautiful, bright blue future.
Now, this weekend marked a significant moment in Japanese politics as Japan's incoming Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba signaled to focus on continuity in his early cabinet decisions.
Now, reports claim that Ishiba, who secured the leadership of the Liberal Democratic Party on Friday, has chosen a lineup of seasoned veterans for his cabinet. The move aims for stability in the government after a tumultuous leadership race.
Sources reveal that former Chief Cabinet Secretary Katsunobu Kato will be assigned as the new finance minister, while General Nakatani and Takeshi Iwaya are set to resume the position of defense minister and foreign minister, respectively. Ishiba's cabinet is also likely to include Takeshi Iwaya as the foreign minister and Ryosei Akazawa as the state minister for finance.
Reports also suggest that Ishiba will most likely dissolve the lower house of the parliament on the 9th of October, as the incoming Prime Minister is eyeing a snap election on the 27th of October. And with that, it's time now for a short break.
But don't go anywhere. On the other side of world DNA, Taiwan has been put on heightened alert after detecting multiple waves of missile firings in inland China, days after Taipei's allies sailed warships through the Taiwan Strait in wake of Beijing test launch an intercontinental ballistic missile earlier this month.
At least 170 people have died in Nepal after days of unrelenting rain triggered heavy flooding. We'll get you all the details of this on the other side. Stay tuned.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back to World DNA. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lots lined up for you on this side of the show as well. Let's get started with the headlines first.
At least 188 people dead and more than 1.8 million people affected in Nepal after days of unrelenting rain triggers heavy flooding and major landslides across the country.
Taiwan announces full combat readiness after detecting multiple waves of missile launches in China, days after Beijing test launched an intercontinental ballistic missile.
At least 4 people, 3 leaders of Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine killed as Israeli airstrike hit central Beirut for the first time since start of latest conflict.
US President Joe Biden warns all-out war has to be avoided in West Asia, says will soon talk to Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu in their first phone call since the assassination of Hezbollah leader Nasrallah.
Austria's far-right poised for historic win in general elections. Projections show Freedom Party at more than 29% of votes against over 26% for the ruling Conservative People's Party.
Pakistan cuts nearly 1.5 lakh government jobs, closes 6 ministries and merges 2 others to secure a $7 billion loan deal from the International Monetary Fund.
Captain Keegan Browley claims a winning point as Team USA beat internationals for a record-extending 10th consecutive President's Cup victory in Montreal. At least 188 people have died in Nepal after days of unrelenting rain triggered heavy flooding and major landslides around the country.
This including the densely populated region around Kathmandu, that's the nation's capital. Search and rescue efforts are ongoing nationwide.
Now, the monsoon rains destroyed hundreds of homes and swept away bridges, cut off power and left downed trees. Rescuers struggled to reach people, some of whom were trapped under debris, while others were stranded on rooftops. More than 3,600 people have been rescued so far, but with more than 100 injured and dozens still missing, government officials said they expected the death toll to rise.
In Godavari municipality in Lalitpur district on the outskirts of Kathmandu, the damage is evident just meters after entering the municipality with small landslides, uprooted trees and debris, painting a clear picture of the situation there. The 92-kilometer long Kanti Rajpath highway from Lalitpur to Hatoda remains blocked by debris.
Lalitpur district has been severely impacted by the continuous rainfall over the past 3 days, causing significant damage to roads and houses. Local authorities, along with the public, are working together to recover from this disaster. Out of the 92-kilometer road leading to the Hetoda district, only 7 kilometers remains operational, with the rest in extremely poor condition. Given the current situation, it is unlikely that the highway will be fully functional for at least 2 more years.
The economic toll on Nepal is likely to be severe. Roads linking Kathmandu to other cities have been damaged, curtailing the transport of essential goods. Since early Saturday morning, vehicular movement across Nepal's major highways has been halted, forcing goods-carrying vehicles to park along the roadside. Roads, including major highways, are obstructed in 68 locations across the country, and it will take days to restore normal operations.
Floods and landslides have inflicted considerable damage on 11 operational hydropower projects with a total capacity of nearly 626 megawatt. The energy sector alone has suffered approximately 2.45 billion rupees or more than $18 million in damages. The Ministry of Energy, Water Resources and Irrigation also reported that 15 under construction hydropower projects with a combined installed capacity of more than 1,000 megawatts have been affected by the relentless rain. Beyond Energy, the ministry estimates more than $10 million in damage to river control and irrigation systems.
Rescue operations, including helicopter evacuations, are ongoing as authorities search for the missing and provide aid to those affected. Moreover, major road blockages and continued rainfall are hampering efforts on the ground. Nepal has already received above average rainfall this year, with an estimated 1.8 million people expected to be affected.
The landslides occurred yesterday between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. as a result of heavy rainfall. They also disrupted the power supply by damaging an electric pole. Due to the ongoing rain, water and mud swept away several houses and caused significant property damage. Since the morning, we have been working to rescue people from the damaged houses and buildings with assistance from local residents and the watch chairperson.
The monsoon season, which typically begins on the 13th of June in Nepal, is extended beyond its usual end date of the 23rd of September and is now expected to last until late October. This season, which accounts for around 80% of the country's annual rainfall, typically spans 105 days. However, in recent years, the withdrawal has been taking longer.
I'm standing here at a highway on the outskirts of Kathmandu, which is a 92-kilometer long, and it connects several other districts of Nepal to the capital. However, this highway has been severely damaged. Half of the highway has fallen off due to landslides, and whatever that is left is covered with mud and trees. This landslide has damaged the phone lines, the internet lines, many of the houses, and even the footpaths. The locals here have gathered around just to witness the destruction that the 2 days of rainfall has caused. They say with a very heavy heart that this disaster has fallen upon them just ahead of the long-awaited festival of Nepal, Dashain and Diwali. Saloni Murarka for WION World is One in Nepal.
And rescue teams have renewed the search for 48 migrants who went missing after their boat capsized near the Canary Islands.
The incident is being seen as the deadliest in at least 30 years of migrant crossings from West Africa via the dangerous Atlantic route. Authorities have already confirmed the deaths of 9 migrants. One of them is a child. The boat sank in the early hours of Saturday morning near the Spanish island of El Hierro. After it overturned, rescuers could only save 27 of 84 migrants who were trying to reach the Spanish coast.
The Atlantic route from Africa to Canary Islands is the deadliest in the world, but even then the route has experienced a 154% surge in migrants this year, and at least 21,620 crossings were made to the archipelago in the last 7 months. Migrants' rights groups say that each year the victims making the dangerous journey are in thousands. Many come from Mali, Senegal, Mauritania and other West African nations seeking better job opportunities.
Hopes of finding dozens of migrants missing after their boats sank off the Canary Islands were diminishing, authorities said on Sunday, in what could be the deadliest migrant crossing incident from Africa to the Canaries in decades. Patrol boats and helicopters continued a second day of search near the Spanish island of El Hierro after emergency services received a distress call from the boat in the early hours of Saturday. They said wind and poor visibility made the rescue extremely difficult and that the boat sank during the rescue attempt. Rescuers were able to pick up 27 of 84 migrants from the boat, but at least 9 people died in the incident, authorities said, including a child. Candelaria Delgado, who heads up the Canary Islands Regional Social Welfare Department, said minors who have arrived are at a temporary reception centre. She urged the Spanish government to activate a mechanism with the European Union that would allow miners to be transferred to other parts of the continent, saying the island needed help tackling the humanitarian crisis. Bracing for the expected fate for those still missing, Delgado said it would make this incident the biggest crisis the Canaries have experienced in 30 years. Data from the EU's border agency Frontex showed that the route from Africa to the islands has seen a surge in migrants this year, with more than 21,000 crossing in the first 7 months. 3 other boats reached the Canary Islands on Saturday night, carrying more than 200 migrants.
All right, moving on, Taiwan has been put on heightened alert and declared full combat readiness after detecting multiple waves of missile firings in inland China.
Now, this comes days after Taipei's allies sailed warships through the Taiwan Strait in wake of Beijing test launching an intercontinental ballistic missile earlier this month.
The Defense Ministry said that it detected the firing by China's rocket force and army in the provinces and regions of Inner Mongolia, Gansu, Qinghai and Xinjiang. The statement said that the military has continuously monitored relevant development and the air defense forces maintain a high degree of vigilance and strengthen their alert. Beijing claims Democratic Taiwan as part of its territory and has ramped up military and political pressure on the island nation in recent years.
Sunday's firings came after China said it test-launched an intercontinental ballistic missile on Wednesday, firing it into the Pacific Ocean in its first such exercise in decades. The launch sparked protests from countries in the region, with Taiwan strongly condemning the action and urging Beijing to exercise restraint and cease its reckless military drills, which inflame regional tensions.
Pakistan is implementing sweeping reforms to cut costs and meet the terms of a $7 billion loan deal with the International Monetary Fund.
Now, the government announced plans to cut 150,000 government jobs, close 6 ministries and merge 2 others.
These measures are part of an agreement with the IMF to reduce administrative expenditures, increase the tax-to-GDP ratio and formalize the economy. The IMF approved the assistance package on September 26th and released $1 billion as the first tranche. Pakistan aims to make its final IMF loan by addressing structural economic challenges.
Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb, returning from the United States, outlined the government's reforms. This includes expanding the tax base by targeting previously untaxed sectors such as agriculture and real estate. According to Aurangzeb, Pakistan saw 732,000 new taxpayers this year, bringing the total to 3.2 million. The government also plans to eliminate the non-filers category, preventing those who don't pay taxes from purchasing property or vehicles. Pakistan is pushing for economic formalization as part of its goal to join the G20 and move beyond dependence on IMF programs.
Pakistan's economy has shown signs of recovery, with inflation dropping to single digits and foreign exchange reserves reaching their highest levels. The finance minister highlighted growth in both national exports and tech exports, boosting investor confidence. The government reduced the policy rate by 4.5% and aims to maintain stability in the exchange and interest rates. Despite past reliance on IMF loans, this program is seen as critical for long-term economic sustainability. However, doubts remain, as Pakistan has previously secured 24 loans from the IMF without resolving deeper economic issues.
Moving on now, 3 online sellers operating on Flipkart have initiated legal action against India's Antitrust watchdog.
The Competition Commission of India, that is, or the CCI. The lawsuits come in response to an investigation that concluded in August, finding that Flipkart, Amazon and select sellers violated local competition laws by giving undue preference to certain online sellers.
This investigation has been ongoing since 2020 and was prompted by complaints from brick-and-mortar retailers through the Confederation of All India Traders. The sellers are seeking to quash the investigation report, arguing that they were unjustly named as accused parties during the inquiry.
The ongoing antitrust investigation focuses on allegations that Flipkart and Amazon prioritized specific listings and provided advantages to a select group of sellers. According to internal documents revealed in a previous Reuters investigation, Amazon was found to have offered preferential treatment to certain sellers by passing local regulations. The three Flipkart sellers claimed that the CCI's investigation process was arbitrary and unfair, alleging that their due process rights were violated. The High Court of Karnataka is expected to hear their cases soon. In addition to the lawsuits from Flipkart sellers and a former Amazon seller, Appareo has also sued the CCI. Appareo's lawsuit argues that it was not given proper notice before being named as an accused party. Both Amazon and Flipkart have consistently denied any wrongdoing, asserting their compliance with local laws.
However, if these legal challenges succeed, they could significantly delay the ongoing investigations.
All right, let's take a look at the development from the world of technology. Indian officials have launched a forensic investigation into a fire that occurred at Tata Electronics factory that manufactures components for Apple iPhones. Now, according to sources, the factory is not expected to gain state approval to restart production by Monday. Tata Electronics has stated that it is examining the cause of the fire and will implement measures to protect employees and other stakeholders. The fire broke out on Saturday in a section of the Hosur plant in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Officials have confirmed that the fire has been fully extinguished and there are no longer any fumes. This incident is part of a series of disruptions affecting Apple suppliers in India, where the tech giant is expanding its supply chain beyond China and tapping into the country's growth potential.
US software firm Cloudflare has denied claims that it hosted two websites involved in a major data breach at Star Health, which is one of India's top insurance funds. The denial follows a lawsuit filed by Star Health last week that has accused Cloudflare of hosting these sites. Star Health has also sued Telegram and a hacker known as Shenzhen after personal data including phone numbers, ID cards and medical reports were leaked by Telegram chatbots. Earlier, Star Health said an initial review showed no widespread compromise and that sensitive customer data remains protected. A country in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu has issued a temporary injunction directing Telegram and the hacker to block chatbots and websites in India that share the leaked data.
OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is confident that AI won't be taking over writers' jobs anytime soon. In a recent interview, Altman mentioned that there is no solid proof that AI is killing writing. He acknowledged the rise of poor-quality AI-generated content online, including average student assignment work written with AI tools. However, Altman believes that while AI chatbots are being used for writing tasks like books and assignments, human creativity still holds a clear edge. Altman said it's a powerful tool for writers, but it's not a writer. He emphasized that AI can't replace the ability to come up with original ideas. However, the OpenAI CEO added that AI would need to reach superintelligence that matches or surpasses human intelligence before it could truly replace human writers.